All right, so get this. We're diving deep today into 27 evidence-based tips to help you feel your best. Imagine like having this cheat sheet for a healthier life, all backed by science.
Exactly. We're cutting through all that noise, all
Mm.
those fads and those miracle cures, and we're delivering like a clear roadmap backed by research for, better health.
And honestly, some of these tips are like surprisingly simple, like did you know that drinking water before meals can actually help you manage your weight?
Yeah.
Or that not overcooking your meat could reduce your risk of cancer?
It's kind of fascinating, right? How these small habits can, make a big difference when you do them consistently for your well-being overall.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe starting with the cornerstone of like any healthy lifestyle, what we eat.
Absolutely, yeah. The foundation of, a really vibrant diet is whole, unprocessed foods.
Okay.
So think like colorful vegetables and fruits, hearty nuts, fatty fish, like salmon, mackerel, eggs. Yes, the yolk too,
Yeah.
and a little drizzle of extra virgin olive oil.
I am curious about the eggs though. For years we were told to avoid the yolk. Like what changed?
Science, it's always evolving, right?
Right.
So it turns out that those yolks are actually nutritional powerhouses,
Hmm.
packed with vitamins and healthy fats and even antioxidants.
Wow. Okay, so ditch the processed junk, embrace the real whole food.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, processed food, they're often loaded with those unhealthy fats, the sugars, the preservatives.
Right.
And those things can, really sabotage your health,
Hmm.
contribute to weight gain, inflammation, even increase your risk of chronic disease. Plus, they just don't provide the same satisfaction as real food.
They don't.
No.
So to be clear, like what are some specific foods we should limit?
The usual suspects, right? Sugary drinks, processed snacks,
Hmm.
excessive sugar, refined carbs, like white bread and pasta.
Makes sense. No, there's a lot of back and forth about coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good or bad for us?
Right, yeah. Coffee's reputation has been a bit of a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
But recent research is actually painting a more positive picture. Coffee is rich in antioxidants,
Okay.
and it might offer some pretty impressive health perks. So, you're looking at potentially reduced risk of type 2 diabetes, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, even certain types of cancer.
Wait, hold on. Coffee might protect against all of those conditions. What's the catch?
Well, like most things in life, moderation is key.
Right.
Well, the coffee itself can be beneficial. It's all the extras, all the sugary, high-calorie stuff that often comes with it that can be detrimental. So, think of it this way. Enjoy your coffee, but, skip the sugary syrups and the whipped cream.
So black coffee, maybe a splash of milk, we're good.
Exactly, yeah. And be mindful of your overall caffeine intake, too, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about another powerhouse food, fatty fish.
Okay.
So salmon, mackerel, sardines, those are all excellent sources of those famous omega-3 fatty acids.
Omega-3s, those are the heart healthy fats, right?
Yeah, there's so much more than that.
Yeah.
They play a really crucial role in maintaining a healthy heart and brain joints. They can help reduce inflammation, lower blood pressure, and even improve your mood.
Really? So like aiming for a couple of servings of fatty fish per week, would that be good?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're not like a fish enthusiast,
Right.
you can always talk to your doctor about, maybe omega-3 supplement.
Okay, good to know.
Now let's kind of shift gears here and explore some key lifestyle habits that are just as important as what we eat,
Okay.
starting with sleep.
I think we all know that sleep is important, but I think we often underestimate its power.
Yeah, it's true. Sleep is like this nightly reset button for our bodies and our minds.
Hmm.
It allows us to repair and recover from, the day's stress. It supports our mental well-being, and it even helps regulate our appetite and metabolism. In fact, you might be surprised to learn that something as simple as drinking water can actually aid in weight management, especially when combined with good sleep.
Oh, I'm all ears. Tell me more about this connection between sleep and hydration and weight management.
Well, when we're sleep deprived, our bodies, they produce more of the stress hormone cortisol.
Right.
And that can lead to, increased cravings for those sugary, fatty foods, the ones we're trying to avoid.
Right, of course.
And plus, we tend to have less energy to exercise and make those healthy choices when we're tired. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, imagine combining that with proper hydration. So, drinking enough water, it not only supports your metabolism, but also helps you feel fuller and more energized, making it easier to make those healthy choices throughout the day.
This is making so much sense. I'm already feeling more motivated to like prioritize both sleep and hydration. Now, what about that sunshine vitamin, vitamin D?
Yeah. Getting enough sunlight exposure is so crucial for our bodies to produce vitamin D, which, as you know, is vital for bone health, our immunity, even our mood. However, we know many people live in areas where, sunshine is limited, especially during certain times of the year.
Yeah. So, what do you recommend for those of us who might not be getting enough natural sunlight?
In those cases, taking a vitamin D supplement is a good option just to make sure you're meeting your daily needs. And speaking of those essential habits, we can't forget about exercise.
Oh, of course. But with so many different types of exercise out there, it can be overwhelming to know where to start.
Right, the options seem endless. But generally speaking, a balanced exercise routine should include both cardio and strength training. Think of it this way. Cardio, like running, swimming, cycling, strengthens your heart and lungs, boosts your energy, improves your mental health. While strength training, whether you're lifting weights or using resistance bands, helps build muscle, increases your metabolism, and supports strong bones.
So, finding a balance between the two is ideal.
Exactly, yeah. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity cardio or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity cardio per week, along with strength training exercises that target all the major muscle groups 2 to 3 times a week. And this brings us to another often overlooked aspect of health,
Mhm.
our gut health.
Ah, yes, the gut microbiome. It seems like everyone's talking about it these days.
And for good reason, right?
Yeah.
It turns out that those trillions of bacteria that are living in our gut, they play a much bigger role in our overall health than we used to realize.
Yeah.
So think of your gut like a second brain. Keeping it healthy can improve not just your digestion, but also your mood, your immunity, and even your risk of chronic diseases.
So, how do we keep our gut, like, happy and thriving?
Well, a diet rich in probiotics and fiber is key.
Okay.
Probiotics are beneficial bacteria that can help balance the gut microbiome, while fiber acts as food for these good bacteria. So think fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, and kimchi for probiotics, and load up on fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, and nuts for fiber.
So, once again, it comes back to eating a variety of real whole foods.
Yeah.
Now, let's address the elephant in the room, harmful substances.
Right, and this might seem obvious, but it's worth emphasizing that smoking, drugs, and excessive alcohol consumption are detrimental to our health.
Right.
These substances significantly increase the risk of a wide range of diseases
Oh.
and can have devastating consequences for both, your physical and mental well-being.
So, avoiding these substances is non-negotiable for a healthy life.
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, this might seem a little out of place, but what about the role of relationships in our overall health?
It's more connected than you might think.
Yeah.
Strong social connections and supportive relationships are really crucial for our mental and emotional well-being, which in turn can positively impact our physical health.
So, nurturing those relationships is just as important as eating our veggies and hitting the gym.
You got it. Now let's talk about a tip that many people find helpful, though it might not be the most glamorous:
Yeah.
tracking your food intake.
Okay, I can see how that might be beneficial, but isn't it kind of like tedious?
It doesn't have to be a chore. Tracking your food every now and then can be incredibly insightful. It helps you become more aware of your eating habits, identify patterns, and ultimately make more conscious choices about, what you're putting into your body.
So, it's more about like self-awareness and less about restriction.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a tool for understanding your choices, not for, punishing yourself. Now, let's address an issue that a lot of people struggle with, which is belly fat.
It's not just about aesthetics.
Right. You're right. It's not. Belly fat, also known as visceral fat, is a type of fat that surrounds our internal organs. And it's linked to an increased risk of metabolic diseases like heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
So, it's a serious health concern, not just a cosmetic one. What's the best way to tackle belly fat?
Just focus on a balanced diet, one that's rich in whole foods. Get regular physical activity and prioritize sleep. These lifestyle changes can go a long way in reducing belly fat and improving your overall health.
This is encouraging to hear. Now, before we wrap up this section, let's talk about a common pitfall that many people fall into, which is restrictive dieting.
Ah, yes, the dreaded D word. The truth is that restrictive diets are rarely sustainable in the long term. They often lead to yo-yo dieting, where you lose weight only to gain it back, and sometimes even more later on.
So what's the alternative to this cycle of like restriction and then a rebound?
Instead of going on a diet, focus on adopting a healthy lifestyle that you can maintain for the long haul.
So it's about making gradual, sustainable changes rather than trying to like overhaul everything overnight.
Precisely, yeah. Small, consistent steps are much more likely to lead to lasting results.
That's a great point. Now, I want to circle back to a food you mentioned earlier, eggs.
Yes, eggs. They're a
That,
true nutritional powerhouse. And that includes the yolk, which often gets a bad rap.
yeah, there's still a lingering belief that egg yolks are bad for you because of their cholesterol content.
It's a common misconception. While egg yolks do contain cholesterol, dietary cholesterol doesn't necessarily translate to higher blood cholesterol levels.
So we can enjoy eggs in moderation without worrying about our heart health.
Absolutely. Eggs are a fantastic source of protein, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants.
That's great news. It seems like we've covered so much ground already. What are some of the key takeaways so far?
Well, we've talked about the importance of, prioritizing those whole unprocessed foods, getting enough sleep, and staying hydrated, especially when it comes to weight management. The benefits of both cardio and strength training, the power of nurturing our gut health and our relationships, and the importance of viewing food tracking as a tool for self-discovery rather than punishment.
And we busted some myths along the way about coffee, saturated fat, and egg yolks.
Exactly. It's all about making informed choices based on scientific evidence, not fear or fad diets.
This has been incredibly insightful. Are you ready to dive into even more evidence-based tips for a healthier life?
Ready for like the next leg of our health journey?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So let's shift our focus to a few more specific tips that can really help you make those healthier choices, without feeling like you're missing out.
I like that. It's all about finding that sweet spot between healthy and enjoyable.
Exactly. And one really simple way to do that is by using, plenty of herbs and spices in your cooking.
I feel like herbs and spices are so underrated.
Totally.
They add so much flavor
Yeah.
without adding any extra calories or unhealthy ingredients.
They're like flavor superheroes, and they bring, a whole host of health benefits to the table too. Many herbs and spices are packed with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds. So, for example,
Yes.
turmeric, ginger, garlic, cinnamon, those have all been linked to various health benefits.
So instead of reaching for the salt shaker, we should be experimenting with different herbs and spices to add both flavor and a nutritional boost to our meals.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, here's a tip you might not have considered. You know, pay attention to cooking temperatures,
Okay.
especially when it comes to meat. Specifically, don't overcook or burn it.
I've heard that before, but why is it so important? Like what happens when meat gets overcooked?
So when you overcook meat, especially at high temperatures like grilling or frying,
Yeah.
it creates these harmful compounds. They're called heterocyclic amines, HCAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAH.
Yeah.
Think of these as tiny troublemakers.
All right.
They can increase your risk of certain cancers.
Okay, that definitely makes it clear why avoiding overcooked meat is important. So how can we cook our meat safely without sacrificing flavor?
Well, opt for gentler cooking methods like baking, roasting, or stewing.
Mm-hmm.
And be sure to avoid charring or blackening your meat. Aim for a nice, golden brown color.
Great tips. Now let's address a challenge that's particularly relevant in today's, digital age, minimizing our exposure to bright lights before sleep.
Ah, yes, the blue light dilemma.
Right.
It's hard to escape screens these days, but it's worth making an effort to limit our exposure, especially before bed.
I know it's important, but why exactly is blue light so disruptive to our sleep?
Well, exposure to bright light, especially the blue light emitted from our beloved electronic devices, can interfere with our body's natural production of melatonin.
Melatonin being the hormone that regulates our sleep-wake cycle.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're exposed to too much blue light in the evening, it kind of like disrupts our sleep patterns, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep.
Yeah. So what can we do about it? It's not realistic to completely avoid screens in the evening.
You're right. We live in a digital world.
Mm-hmm.
So start by dimming the lights in your home a couple of hours before bed.
Okay.
And try to avoid using those electronic devices for at least an hour before you plan to sleep.
So reading a book or listening to calming music is a better way to wind down before bed.
Absolutely. And if you do need to use those electronic devices in the evening, consider wearing blue light blocking glasses.
Right.
Or use apps that filter out that blue light.
Right.
Now let's revisit a topic we touched on earlier, which is saturated fat. There's still a lot of confusion about whether it's good or bad for us.
It feels like the advice on saturated fat is always changing.
It's true that saturated fat has been demonized for decades.
Yeah.
But, the science is constantly evolving. While it's true that excessive consumption of saturated fat can raise LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, not all saturated fats are created equal.
So there are like good sources and bad sources.
Precisely. Sources like fatty processed meats and baked goods, those should be limited. But those healthier sources of saturated fat, like coconut oil, grass-fed butter, full-fat dairy products, can actually be part of a healthy diet when consumed in moderation. What's most important is focusing on the quality of the fat and not going overboard.
That makes sense. So it's not about fearing all saturated fat, but rather, making informed choices.
Exactly. And when it comes to fats, it's important to prioritize those healthy, unsaturated fats, like those found in olive oil, avocados, nuts, and seeds.
Okay. Those are all delicious and versatile foods, so that's an easy switch to make.
Yeah, it is.
Now let's talk about a topic that often goes hand in hand with diet and exercise, weight management.
Yeah, weight management is it's a complex issue, and it's something that a lot of people, struggle with.
It's definitely a sensitive topic,
It is.
and there's a lot of pressure to conform to
Yeah,
certain ideals.
you're right. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is going on those restrictive diets that are ultimately unsustainable
Right.
in the long run. These diets often backfire, leading to a cycle of weight loss and regain.
So what's a healthier, more sustainable approach to weight management?
Focus on making those gradual, sustainable changes to your diet and lifestyle. Instead of completely cutting out entire food groups, aim to reduce your intake of, those processed foods, sugary drinks, unhealthy fats, and of course, increase your intake of those whole nutrient-rich foods that we talked about earlier.
It sounds like it's about building like a healthy relationship with food rather than viewing it as the enemy.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. And don't forget the importance of, regular exercise. Find an activity that you actually enjoy and that you can stick with, whether it's dancing, hiking, swimming, or something else entirely.
So it's all about like finding what works for you
Yeah,
and making small, consistent changes that add up over time.
exactly. And remember that, weight loss is not a linear journey. There will be ups and downs along the way. Don't get discouraged if you hit a plateau or have a setback. Just keep focusing on building those healthy habits for the long term.
That's such an important reminder. Now, before we wrap up this section, I want to touch on a topic that's often overlooked in discussions about physical health, and that's mental health.
Oh, absolutely. Mental health is essential.
Yeah.
It's just as important as physical health. And the two are often very interconnected. Taking care of our mental well-being is crucial for living a happy, healthy, and fulfilling life.
So what are some things that we can do to prioritize our mental well-being in addition to the tips we've already discussed?
Well, practicing mindfulness or meditation, those can help reduce stress and anxiety. Spending time in nature has been shown to have mood-boosting effects. And engaging in activities that you actually enjoy,
Yeah.
hobbies, creative pursuits, spending time with loved ones, that can bring you, joy and fulfillment. It's about nurturing your mind and soul, along with your body.
I love that. It's like a holistic approach to well-being.
It is.
It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life
Yeah.
and forget to prioritize our mental health. So this is a great reminder.
We all need that reminder
Yeah.
sometimes. Now, shall we move on to our final set of evidence-based tips?
Let's do it.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still more to explore.
Okay, so we're in the home stretch now of our deep dive into these 27 evidence-based health tips.
Mhm.
What final gems of wisdom do we have to uncover?
All right, so we've talked a lot about, all the things you can do, right, to enhance your well-being.
Right.
But now let's shift gears a little bit and shine a light on something you should actively avoid,
Okay.
and that's artificial trans fats.
Those are the really bad fats.
They are.
Like even worse than saturated fats that we discussed.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, artificial trans fats are they're created through a process called hydrogenation, which basically transforms liquid oils into those solid fats that we often find in processed foods.
And why are they so detrimental to our health? What makes them worse than other types of fat?
So think of it this way.
Yeah.
Trans fats are like double agents working against your heart health.
Okay.
They raise your LDL cholesterol, the bad kind, right?
Right.
And at the same time, they lower your HDL cholesterol, the good kind that actually protects your heart.
Oh, wow.
So it's a lose-lose situation.
So where are these sneaky trans fats hiding? What foods should we be watching out for?
They often lurk in processed foods, particularly baked goods, fried foods, and margarine.
Okay.
So becoming a savvy label reader is key.
Right.
Keep an eye out for that term, partially hydrogenated oil. That's a telltale sign of trans fats.
Got it.
Mm.
Checking labels for partially hydrogenated oil going on the grocery shopping checklist. Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about a practice that can have like a profound impact on our health. Mindful eating.
Yeah, mindful eating it's a game changer. It's about bringing a sense of awareness and intention to the act of eating. So instead of mindlessly shoveling food into our mouths, we slow down,
Yep.
we savor each bite, and we really tune into our body's signals of hunger and fullness.
So it's the opposite of like scarfing down a bag of chips while binge watching our favorite show.
Yeah. Exactly. When we eat mindfully, we're much more likely to make those healthier food choices.
Yeah.
But it really goes beyond that. Mindful eating also allows us to fully enjoy, appreciate our food, creating a more satisfying, a more pleasurable experience.
It sounds like mindful eating is a powerful tool, for both our physical and our mental well-being.
It is. Now let's wrap up our deep dive with one final liberating tip.
Okay.
Ditch the diet mentality.
I have a feeling this is going to resonate with a lot of our listeners.
I think so too.
Yeah.
The problem with diets is that they're often so restrictive.
Yeah.
They're temporary. They're focused on those quick fixes rather than, long-term sustainable change. They set us up for that cycle of deprivation and rebound weight gain, leaving us feeling defeated.
So if diets aren't the answer, what's a better approach to achieving and maintaining a healthy weight?
Instead of going on a diet, focus on cultivating a healthy lifestyle, one that really nourishes your body, your mind, and your soul. Embrace a way of eating that emphasizes whole foods, regular physical activity that you actually enjoy, and effective stress management techniques.
Yeah.
These habits, when practiced consistently, will naturally guide you towards a healthier, happier you.
I love that. It's not about deprivation or quick fixes. It's about making choices that support your well-being for the long haul.
Exactly. It's about building that sustainable foundation for a lifetime of, vibrant health.
Well, we've certainly covered an impressive amount of ground today. We've explored 27 evidence-based tips. We busted some common myths.
Yeah.
And hopefully empowered our listeners to take charge of their health.
It's been a truly insightful journey. And remember, you don't have to implement all 27 tips at once.
Right.
Start with, one or two that really resonate with you.
Yeah.
And gradually incorporate more as you go. Small changes, consistently applied, they can lead to, those remarkable transformations.
That's so true.
So of all the tips we've discussed today, which one speaks to you the most? What's one small yet meaningful step that you can take today to integrate that tip into your life?
That's a great question to ponder. We've provided the roadmap. Now it's time for you to take the wheel and steer yourself towards a healthier, happier you. Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning.
Great.